Welcome to the Movie Draft Podcast. I am Ethan Simi, and today I am joined by my co-host, Sophie Holsinger.
Avengers, assemble.
God damn it. That's you literally did exactly what I said you were going to do off mic. I was like, you're just going to say the most popular MCU quote possible. My other co-host, Ben Lawhorn.
On your left.
That's the second most popular one. Guys, we got to do better than that. We're repping the entire MCU
on your left.
here.
Look at the setup here. Right over your left shoulder.
Today we are completing the MCU Mega Collaborative Draft. I have changed the title for part 2 because I feel like a 2-part draft deems the word mega. This is our first part 2 ever. Guys, how are we feeling?
I'm very excited about this. I've been looking forward to this. I mean, when did we set this up? Like in February or something? We've been talking about this for a long time. And it's something I've been looking forward to. So I'm super excited. On the other end of the spectrum, I'll hand it over to Sophie.
I was just going to ask, can we dig into that for 1 second? This has been on the schedule. This has been on the schedule for probably 4 or 5 months now because Deadpool and Wolverine is coming out, obviously. The potential back to form for the MCU, if you will. Sophie, you've known about it for about 5 months. And yes. you texted Ben and I probably 4 hours ago, and you were like, I'm so unprepared for this draft, guys. I'm just bringing vibes. How are you today?
Well, to set the context for the listener, it's currently 11 p.m. for me at the time of recording. I've had a couple drinks, and also I haven't seen a Marvel movie like in years, probably. That's not true. New releases I've seen.
You're probably qualified for this draft then, for sure.
Yeah. But I mean, we'll dig into my relationship with the MCU, but I prepare for these podcasts. Like, I love to prepare. I love preparing. But for this one specifically, I just wasn't going to revisit all of these. It just wasn't going to happen.
Any of these?
So I kind of accepted the fact that this was just going to be kind of like a funny bit, like me being on this podcast. Like, I'm not going to remember the plots of many of these films, and it's going to be fun. So, yeah.
Can you keep up a bit for 2 hours? So that's the question.
I'm going to try.
You're going to pass the stroke of midnight, and I'm worried for you.
Yeah.
That I will clue the listeners in just a tad, like kind of behind the scenes. We record on different days and different times. All three of us live in different time zones. So, Sophie, you were so kind as to accommodate my schedule with my wife being out of town and me being a single dad for 5 days, having to put my kids down and wait to pod until they were asleep. So I think that adds a nice, level of mystery to every single pod, very Michael Scott-esque, if you will. And I like it, and I appreciate that you showed up and made the most of that. So I like where you're at, to be honest. I think it's going to be a fun draft.
Yeah, this is my 11 o'clock vibe. We'll see how it goes.
I've never got Sophie after midnight, so I wonder if it's like Gremlin time. I wonder like what goes down. 12:01 on recording time, she just devolves into evil. I don't know. We're gonna find out. It's gonna happen live. You just gotta wait it out. Ben, how are you? I guess let's dive into a little prep questions because I always ask how we prepped. Of course, it's just the three of us, the Holy Trinity, back once again. You prepped, Ben. I mean, you were texting us like weeks ago, and you were like diving into some good Marvel stuff. How did that shake out for you?
Pretty good. We have 17 movies that we're going to be discussing tonight. I watched 13 of them.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Wow.
And the 4 I didn't watch are the first 4 I would play. They're the ones that I felt like I wouldn't worry about them being too high, so I didn't get to them. But yeah, I got through 13 of these movies. It was fun to revisit. It had been a while since I had watched quite a few of them. So, good rewatch. Some of them moved up, some of them moved down. So I'm kind of, don't trust the letterbox, Sophie. I know you're doing your research, but don't trust it.
Okay.
And you've logged none of these watches. Am I correct?
Of course not. Yeah, of course not.
Thank God. He loves to do that to us.
How do you live with yourself?
I got my list.
How
I got
do
my
you
list
live
of notes.
with yourself?
Yeah, how do you remember?
I put in my notes app. I put like the movie, the day I watched it. If I have any pressing thoughts that I think I might forget, I'll put that in there. But That's it. Right now, I
Do
have
you
a
also
list
like
of
carve it
13
on a
movies.
stone tablet? Like, what the hell
Yeah.
is going on in your life, Ben, where you put it in your notes app? This is something we discussed in part 1 where TJ was like, I just keep my rankings in notes. And I was like, I'm sorry. Like, come again? Ben, I didn't know that about you, and I kind of don't like it. I got to be honest with you. Not feeling it.
That's totally fair. Yeah. I don't know what else to tell you, but I can tell you that the first one I watched, I tried to go chronological order, and I did for the most part. But June 20th, I watched Iron Man. So that's how far back my letterboxd is right now. But it's just Marvel movies. I've logged other stuff that I've watched. I just haven't logged any of this Marvel stuff yet.
Mm-hmm. Too busy watching Indiana Jones, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull in between every MCU movie.
Yeah, man, I love it. It's the best one out there.
Oh boy. Okay. Well, so I watched one movie in prep for this. One movie, and that's it. I just kind of decided to get the vibe. I didn't want to oversaturate myself with Marvel. I also haven't watched a Marvel movie in a long time. So this was the first one I had seen since the Marvels came out last November. So that would be about 9 months ago. And this was like the first Marvel movie I have revisited in a long time. I did, in fact, log it on my letterbox. I have no shame in pronouncing where I stand on that particular film, which we will inevitably talk about. But I'm curious if we can just quickly say where we are at on the MCU. I took part in part 1 of this draft. So listeners, if they haven't checked that out yet, go back and listen to part 1 so you can see kind of where we're lined up for this draft and the 17 remaining movies. But Sophie, I'll start with you because you didn't prep and you are infamously known as thinking the MCU is pretty mid. I guess, is that where you're at on the MCU as a whole?
I think so. I didn't always feel this way. So I grew up with the MCU. Like, I remember seeing Iron Man in theaters. I remember loving the Avengers. Like, I had relationships to these films, but never kept up with it enough to like fully know what was going on at all times. So when COVID happened, I decided I was going to watch every film in order. I'd never seen Endgame. Like, I never saw Endgame in theaters. And that was something that, I know.
I didn't know that. That's crazy.
Yeah, because I was always just a little bit like, I could have seen it. Like, I had the opportunity to go. I knew that I didn't have to see every film, but I just kind of wanted to. Like, that was kind of where I was at. And so
pretty minor film to miss out on, to be honest.
Yeah.
You really didn't miss a lot in terms of theatrical experience.
Sure. Yeah. So yeah, March 2020, like right when COVID happened, I decided to go through them all. And I haven't seen some of them since that month. So that's kind of where I am. But yeah, I mean, Marvel as a whole, like, really helped me get into film. And I really loved the idea of the communal experience and anticipating films with people. It just, like, a lot of these movies felt like a huge moment. I loved being a part of Spider-Man No Way Home specifically because that was like the first big event MCU movie that I got to see in theaters. But yeah, I just like haven't found myself wanting to revisit these, but they hold a special place in my heart. Of course, I just haven't really like felt the need to revisit them. But I do have a little Lego set up here behind me.
Whoa.
A little what's it called? I don't even know.
I'm gonna let you figure that one out. You tell me what that is called, Sophie.
Like, it's the Gauntlet. Is that what it's called?
Oh my God. I cannot believe this is how we're starting.
I would hate to be a listener of this pod.
Like,
I would hate to listen to this because people are like, this girl is not qualified to be here. Why is she on the draft?
That's why it's fun. Like, I'm just messing around here. It's gonna be awesome.
I'm like just still blown away that you didn't see the second highest grossing movie of all time in theaters. That's crazy to me.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about a communal experience. That was amazing. No Way Home was great too, obviously, but yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Just, you can't be put in a box, Sophie. You can't be one of the normies. You know, you can't. You're so killer. So the killer coded. It's pretty unreal. I like that you brought up the fact of MCU like helping you get into movies, because I am very much in the same boat. Marvel was like, that was the thing. Like, that is why I went to the movies, was the MCU. That's why I started watching movies. That's why ultimately I really started getting into podcasting, is because I used to have a Marvel podcast. I used to just have a solo Marvel pod where every week I would just talk about what's going down in Marvel. And Ben was on that pod lots of times. We actually did a live watch along of, I think it was season 1 finale of Loki. When we first meet He Who Remains, and like we watched it on the pod together. That was great.
Aww.
Like there are a lot of Marvel projects that I really, really like, and it really is a communal kind of experience. So Marvel did ultimately help me like get into movies. I saw Endgame 7 times in the theater, so I guess both, enough for both of us. Sophie, I was pulling my weight. I mean, I remember going to IMAX opening night and then like back in the theater 10 a.m. the next day for like another showing. Wow. Just being like, this is a moment in time. And yeah, something special for sure about the MCU in that time period. Like I said, I pretty much don't rewatch any Marvel movies anymore. I don't find myself wanting to visit them just because of, this pod. We have the A24 pod. Like I have other things to be watching, really. But it was nice to revisit, and it was a fun time remembering what the MCU used to be. Have you guys seen the Captain America Brave New World trailer? If so, are you guys pro on this trailer?
I think it looks good. I'm excited about it. I'm excited to see Harrison Ford out there doing his thing. So, yeah, I'm optimistic.
I have not watched the trailer, but not because it's an MCU movie, just because I'm not really watching trailers these days, which I feel like I've said before, but haven't watched like the Gladiator 2 trailer. Like, I don't know. Just not really something I'm doing currently.
I like it.
Too normie for you. That's incredible. I thought it was a pretty good trailer as well. I thought the Agatha All Along trailer, I did a reaction video to that trailer on my YouTube, and I was like so in for the first 30 seconds, and I was like, oh no, Marvel's doing the thing again. So like, I'm still pretty cold on Marvel as a whole, especially where we're at right now. Deadpool and Wolverine, I'm not necessarily excited. I'll be there. I have my IMAX ticket for opening night. I just don't really have high hopes. But then again, I'm not really a Deadpool guy. So there's
or a
that.
Wolverine guy.
Is there any?
Someone who hasn't seen Logan.
That's true. Haven't seen Logan. Should I see Logan before I go see Deadpool and Wolverine? Is that like a necessary prerequisite?
I mean, I'm curious if they're going to reference it at all, because it did feel like a very, a movie that finished that storyline. So I'm curious how they're going to address it.
So what I heard was no. I'm good. I can pass.
Follow your heart, man.
I just, I don't know if I have what it takes. Any other Marvel thoughts before we get into the draft and start this top 17 Marvel business?
I'm as ready as Sophie. Let's do this.
Let's dig up.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. Okay. This is a collaborative draft, of course. Like I said, this is our first part 2 kind of mega draft that we've done here on the show. We are technically working together, even though I feel like we are going to have pretty different agendas going into this top 17. For any listeners that have not listened to a collaborative draft before, Ben, would you do us the pleasure of explaining how a collaborative draft works and what each player gets for this draft?
I would love to. It's going to be a snake style draft. We're going to spin the wheel of death and figure out the order that people get to pick which drafter they want to be. The picks are all split up between all 3. So if you're drafter C, you're going to be making picks 17, 16, 12, 9, 6, and 3. So that's 6 movies total. You're going to get a veto, and you're going to get the one and only veto override. Only thing with that is you can't use it on yourself. You have to use it to help somebody else. So you get the only veto override. If you're a drafter B, you get picks 15, 11, 8, 5, and 2, and you only get 1 veto. And the reason behind that is that if you are picking number 2, you're also kind of picking number 1, because there will only be 2 movies left there at the end. And then drafter A will get 14, 13, 10, 7, 4, and 1. But again, 1 is just kind of like a honorary pick. You just get to announce it, but you don't really get to pick it. And because of that, because you have the least amount of picks, you will get 2 vetoes if you are drafter A. So yeah, that's the breakdown here. We'll figure out, we'll spin the wheel and see who gets to pick what spot they want. Shout out Screen Drafts for kind of coming up with this whole format. It's fantastic. So check them out. But I'm excited to see where we end up here. I definitely have a spot that I want. So I'm curious.
You knew I was coming with the question.
Yeah.
I always ask that question. Sophie, is there a spot that you want, knowing that you kind of don't give a shit?
Yeah. I think I want. Yeah, I mean, I've never even shared my strategy before on this podcast, but here we go. First time for everything. I would like drafter C because I know which movies I want at the bottom, and I think you guys know which movies I want at the bottom as well because I told you. So that's
the ones we asked you to watch and you didn't watch.
Yeah,
those two.
I can't have that. I can't have that. Not on my pod. Not on a pod that I claim is my pod every single week. Not allowed.
Yeah.
I do have one final question before the spinner, because we have never really found ourselves in this predicament before, dealing with such a large franchise. I know we did the Pixar Collaborative Draft, which is a substantial franchise for sure. That is near and dear to a lot of people. But I feel like the MCU, especially dealing with these 17, Ben, I know you have your tiered system that you usually implement here on the draft. To me, there's some very clear and definite like tiers here, and better movies and worse movies. Would it be like in absolutely horrible faith if someone like was, in spot 17 and was like, I don't know, let's put Infinity War. Let's see what happens. Like, what? We can't do that, right? That's not allowed.
I mean, that'd just be wild unless you could like justify it with your reasoning. But that just feels like that's as foolish to me as playing like Pulp Fiction at 6 on a Tarantino draft.
My God.
Like you're obviously trying to pull a veto out of somebody by making a move like that. You literally said it, Sophie. You literally said you're trying to get me to
Real
do
suspicious.
a veto.
But that's also where it is in my ranking. Is it not? It's like 5 or 6. Okay, whatever.
I don't believe it. But anyways, yeah, I think there are some that are like just obviously some of the best MCU movies. So if they get played low, like whatever, do whatever you want, but you got to back it up.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I don't think that is a wise decision, especially seeing as how Sophie played Pulp Fiction at number 6 one time and hasn't lived it down in about 20 episodes. So I wouldn't want to be her. That's all I'm saying. Couldn't be me. Okay. Here are the lists of 17 movies that we had to choose from. Like I said, we did a part 1. We chose half of the films. These are the remaining films that are going to be eligible for this collaborative draft. Then we're going to spin. Then we're going to start this madness, which I'm genuinely nervous for because I have a few things that have to be at least above 10. Like at least, like we got to just cut some slack here. So I hope for the best. Okay, here are the eligible titles for the MCU Mega Collaborative Draft Part 2. Iron Man, The Avengers, Captain America the Winter Soldier, Guardians of the Galaxy, Avengers Age of Ultron, Captain America Civil War, Spider-Man Homecoming, Thor Ragnarok, Black Panther, Avengers Infinity War, Avengers Endgame, Spider-Man Far From Home, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, Eternals, Spider-Man No Way Home, Black Panther Wakanda Forever, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Reading through that list, I'm a little nervous because I like something about all of those movies.
Yeah, that's like, I mean, Sophie's opinion aside, I think most people think that most of these are pretty good movies. So even what we're playing at the bottom is still going to be like, essentially it's a good film. I guess there's some subjectivity to that, but yeah, I feel like we're going to be playing stuff at like 12 that other people would be like in their top 4, but it's just like the way it goes. Yeah,
I agree. I think we're in for a little bit of a destructive practice here, a pretty futile exercise. Okay, let's spin. Let's spin the spinner. Right. Let's get our draft spots. There is a spot that I want. I'm not going to pull Sophie, and I'm not going to reveal what it is because I think that's quite foolish. But I also haven't had 2 drinks. Not 11:30 where I'm recording. But
Yeah, let's see. All right. getting to choose first.
Here we go.
Oh, I guess we'll
let's
find out what Ethan
fucking
wants.
go.
Oh, okay.
Well, that puts me in a great position.
All right, Sophie.
Okay, here we go.
Oh,
Awesome.
awesome,
Great.
awesome.
The only person
Honestly,
that's like,
that's
this
fine.
is definitely the position I want.
Honestly, you guys deserve the picks though. Like I should get the last one.
No,
you know what I mean?
no. Cut
Yeah.
that energy out. Go the other way. I don't want nice Sophie. No, thank you.
Okay. I'm bringing the energy. Also,
Okay.
Ben, I think that we are on different sides of the internet because I think my internet would say that there are a lot of bad movies on this list. Just want to note that.
The young internet would say that. The old internet
Generational
disagrees.
divide.
Oh my god.
Those
I
of
didn't
us that
say
saw Iron Man in theaters, like, yeah, this list is good. And then the people who are like, Endgame, I'm not going to see that
I
in
should
theaters.
skip that.
The second highest grossing movie of all time. I don't need to see that in theaters.
Oh my god.
They're like, yeah, there's not good movies on here. So I'm excited to see how this plays out.
They even
Right.
re-released it. They were begging you to come see it, Sophie, and you were like, "No, thank you."
Had you seen Infinity War by the time Endgame came out?
No.
Oh, okay. So you weren't like, I got to see
Yeah,
how
like
this
I
ends.
couldn't. I remember my parents coming home from Infinity War and saying like, holy shit, like they all turned into sand. And I was like, oh wow. So like
Just
things were
spoiled it for
sand,
you.
Sophie.
They just
Yeah.
walked out. Amazing.
that's what they said, not me. That's what they said.
Yeah, no, I think it's amazing.
But yeah, like I knew a lot of I knew what happened in Endgame and stuff. But you guys knew that I didn't see Endgame in theaters because I sent you the video of me crying watching Endgame.
I don't think I realized that
I
was
love
like
that
the
video.
first time that you watched it, but yeah.
It was.
All right.
All right, anyways,
Well,
what do you guys picking?
Little transparency. I sent you guys a picture last night of me watching Endgame, bawling my eyes out at 11:45 at night.
Yes, you
And I was
did.
like, I'm so Sophie right now.
Nice.
I will be picking Drafter C. I'm so sorry, Sophie. I have
That's
to protect my people.
No worries. Ben?
Okay. I really just want, I guess, more vetoes because I'm worried about Sophie, so I'm gonna go with A.
Okay. Cool.
It's fair.
So that means Sophie gets to pick the top 2 MCU movies of all time.
A.
Hey. I don't give a shit. Whatever.
What are we doing?
Let's go
What are we
alphabetically.
doing, Ben?
Who cares?
This is great.
Was this a mistake already? Like we haven't even begun, and I think we're doomed.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Boy, oh boy, oh. Okay, at number 17, I'm gonna pull up my letterbox ranking. I need to stay true to my heart and figure out what I have pretty low. Shoot. Okay, this is gonna be maybe a red hot take. And I'm not, I know we just had a discussion of like, let's not be weird about this, but once I unlock my letterbox list for the public to see, they can vet this information. Out of the movies that are available, this is the second lowest one on my personal rankings list. I think it is remarkably overrated. It came at a time when I wasn't super into the MCU yet. So I think I missed the wave. Just like Sophie missed Endgame, I missed this. And so I don't have a great personal connection to it. I'm going to be playing The Avengers at number 17. I don't think this is a very good movie. I think it has aged quite poorly.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I mean, do you want to go, Sophie, or?
I mean, I don't know. This is like a very important film to me. Like, it's kind of the only one that not to show on my cards, but I'm gonna do it anyways. This movie's so comforting to me. My favorite MCU character is Loki, and I feel like Loki just gets to shine in this film.
Mhm.
And it's just I don't know, it just feels so classic. The gang's getting together for the first time.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Mhm.
To me, it just feels really comforting and fun. And I don't think it's the best movie ever. I don't know if it would make my top 5 personally, but to me, it feels a lot better than Spot 17. I'll say that. Ben?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's better than 17 as well, but this is one that probably dropped the most for me on the rewatch.
There we go.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't hit when it came out, like it was a cultural phenomenon. You know what I mean? Like we're getting all these people together on the team. We love a team up movie, all that kind of stuff. But they just continued, I think, to make better stuff. So now like visiting it and going back, I'm just like, well, it was possibly the best thing they had put out at that point. You can make the argument with Iron Man, but yeah, it just, for me, it wasn't anything that hit super hard. So, and also just strategically knowing he has the next pick, I'm not going to use a veto.
This sucks.
I'm sorry / like, I don't know, kind of strategy, like I'm not trying to be a dick. I literally love.
It just comes naturally to you.
I'm
not trying to. It's just, I'm just able to do it.
I can't believe you genuinely think that like Age of Ultron is better than this movie. Like, absolutely. I'm shocked.
100%. The themes in Age of Ultron are much more resonant and better fleshed out than in the Avengers to me.
Oh my gosh. And the Avengers is such a good New York movie. Like oh my gosh. I like wish I could use my veto, but yeah, Ethan's got the next pick, so that would be dumb.
I was going to ask if you knew that some of these movies took place in New York, because I know you learned that with the Ninja Turtles. So I didn't know if you were aware that some of these movies are in New York. So that's exciting.
I'm aware. Avengers. Every time I go to Grand Central, I'm like, this is where the Avengers takes place.
Yeah, every time. Sure. You're just let's take a moment, let's pour one out for the Avengers.
I'm not kidding. I love the Avengers. Like, this is actually really heartbreaking. Like, this is the most I will be upset.
I will strike a deal with you. If you want to veto it, I respect that and I understand why. I will not play it at 16. I will make a gentleman's deal with you right now. If you feel the need to use your veto and do that, that's okay. I'm not trying to elicit it. I'm just saying I won't be that much of a bad person.
It's a jump to get up. I mean, his next after that is 12. I'm not going to play it. So you could jump from 17 to 12 if you do it.
But like, do I really want to use my veto on the first play? Like, that's kind of crazy.
Well, what else would you use it on? Like, is there really another movie where you're like, oh, we got to have that higher?
I mean, no.
I'm begging you to veto my play.
Honestly, even 12, I would be upset. So I kind of just want to leave it.
All right.
Okay. All right. The Avengers stands at number 17.
Then I will disown this ranking, obviously, on Twitter.
No, this is your pod. Like, this is all on you.
Actually, on the graphic that comes out, I will be specifically stating podcast featuring Sophie Holsinger.
Yeah.
Really big in text, big bold text.
Sophie Holsinger's movie draft pod rankings. Yeah,
and I will not interact with it.
Trademarked out for the week.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
This is devastating.
The Avengers stands at number 17. Okay, that means I got to pick number 16. Let's go back to the board. What do I have next on the list? Oh, man. Okay. I feel like there's a lot of things on here that come across really mean to put really low. But you kind of got to do what you got to do. Okay. I'll put Avengers Age of Ultron at number 16. I know Ben's going to hate this, but like looking at the board, there's a lot of better movies. Ben, I stand by what you said about the Avengers, where it's like it has its things and it's really good for the time that it released. But since then, we've just gotten better things. So like it kind of pushes it to the bottom of the pile. I do like Age of Ultron quite a lot. So I think number 16 is not a bad spot for it at all. I think there's a lot of good things about this movie, but I think there's a lot of better things about the other movies.
That's totally fair. Like I, kind of poked my head in when you guys did your first draft and I just begged for Age of Ultron to make it out of the bottom half. So the fact that it's a 16 in the top half, like I can live with that. Like I love this movie. I think it's great. I think the themes, like you said, that we get in it, we hear about Wakanda for the first time. There's some fun stuff that happens here, but yeah, like I'm not going to use a veto because I have other things I care about being higher. And I also think Sophie would just play this at 15. So it just seems silly
Correct.
to use a veto right now.
There you go. Sophie and I on the same page, finally.
Cool. Awesome.
Cool. Okay. Yeah, I think, good movie. I think they should bring Ultron back. I don't know what we're doing, like not bringing Ultron back, but
Yeah.
I think it's a big missed opportunity.
I'm with you, man. Bring Spader back. He's great.
Okay.
The
Sophie's up.
15th highest grossing movie of all time. Just want to throw that out there.
Avengers
Wow.
Age of Ultron?
Yeah. Marvel has 4 of the top 10 of all time. Endgame at 2, Infinity War at 6, No Way Home at 7, and The Avengers at 10. And then the next one is Age of Ultron at 15.
Huh.
Age
Wow.
of Ultron made more money than Black Panther. Holy shit. I would not have expected
That's
that.
crazy. Yeah.
Told you. Pretty good movie.
Yeah.
Huh.
Like when the city's like in the air and stuff? That was cool.
Didn't see that coming,
Sure.
did you? Yeah.
Okay, I think you guys know what I'm gonna play here.
Yeah, I don't know why you're not typing it in, Ethan. We know
I have
who's
no-
playing.
It's Eternals.
Whatever. I just
And okay, here's my thing. I was so excited for Eternals. Like a real director directing an MCU movie. I was like, hell yeah, like let's do this. But I thought it got away from itself a little bit. Like it was really visually stunning, but the actual plot was just like all over the place for me. It was way too long. I don't know. I just I told you guys that I would rewatch it, and I just every day was like, I can't do this. Like I can't do it. So that's how you know. I was just dreading it. It wasn't gonna happen. And I'm playing Eternals.
Fair enough. I mean, I like this movie. I think this cast is fantastic. I think Chloe Zhao did a great job directing this. It wasn't what people wanted, I think, which is why it got such a bad reception. But I enjoyed her, taking a different viewpoint or a different, stance on the comic book movie. I think it worked, but it doesn't feel like it got received that well by most people. So, that is what it is. Some of us have taste and some of us don't like Eternals, and that's okay. So, yeah, it's a bummer to see it down here, but I think unfortunately most people would probably agree with its placement.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How quickly the turntables.
Yeah.
Now I know what it felt like when I played Avengers of 17. Just feels like you just your heart melts
Yep.
right on the spot. It's tough. It's tough. I get it. I'm not going to veto it. I do want the people to know that I love Eternals. It is in my top 5 MCU movies. I don't think it is a perfect movie by any means. I do think it is a great movie. I think it has a lot of flaws. I think it's got a lot of hollow aspects to it. But I choose to see past that, and I choose to see something special in Eternals. And I think it's got one of the best scores out of any MCU movie. And Sophie, I agree with you. I think when we heard that Chloe Zhao was attached to this, I think we all expected something different than what we ended up getting. I do think it has one of the most infamous post-credit scenes that has not come to fruition.
Yeah.
We
Mhm.
just got our
my
first
man.
glimpse at any Eternals, not retconning, but any Eternals referencing in
Mhm.
the trailer for the new Captain America movie. So it's been a long time trying to figure out how to fold Eternals back in. I do think it was a big problem movie for the universe. I still like it, but okay, 15, I guess.
There it
I
is.
guess we move on. We move on.
Move on to 14. That's me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Double, back to back, 14,
Back
13.
to back. Here we go.
Wow.
Can I
Excited.
tell you, my pick here ties into the fact of the biggest surprise when I saw this list. Because, Ethan, Sophie, and I asked you after you did the draft, what's left? We got to, Sophie at that point said we got to prep. Obviously, we know what happened, but
Just straight lies. Straight
Yeah.
lies in the group chat.
let's have these people do this draft a month early so we can prep. And then she's just like, nah, fuck this. I don't give a shit.
I literally recorded it 5 weeks ago, so we would all have time to prep. You're
Shit
right,
happens.
Ben. Okay.
Here we are.
Wow.
Here we
we are.
But for me, the biggest surprise was to see all 3 Spider-Man movies had made it to the top half.
That was a surprise for you.
It was. Yeah, it was a surprise to me.
Huh.
Maybe I shouldn't have been, with knowing that you had partaken in the first half, you know, and you were going to save your precious Far From Home.
Why am I always getting attacked here? I'm just doing what's right for the world.
You did it, and I appreciate it. And I just don't think it should be any higher than 14. So I'm going to go with Spider-Man Far From Home.
That's
here.
Ridiculous.
Why
are people attacking Far From Home? We did it last time on the pod, and I had to bag, and I came out with a dub. And now you lay this shit on me?
My fear is that if I don't play this here, I'm going to have to wait and play it at 10. And like, we don't need 3 Spider-Man movies in the top 10.
Yeah.
I just don't think that we do.
That's not happening.
So for me, this one is the weakest of the trilogy. And I mean, we get great performances from Gyllenhaal, all that kind of stuff. But out of the 3, it's my least favorite. With what's left, this is what I feel needs to be played first. I know we get like Night Monkey and all this like kind of stuff, but overall, I just like this isn't my favorite of the Spider-Man movies, and I just think other stuff should be placed above it. So I'm going to go with Spider-Man Far From Home at 14.
I got to give you kudos for strategy on that one, Ben. Planted at 14. I've only got one veto, of course, and that would just end up at 13. And that's not very wise of me, and that is very wise of you. So congratulations.
Thank you.
You've screwed me again. I think Far From Home is excellent. And I guess spoiler alert, I do have all 3 Spider-Man movies in my top 6 on my personal MCU.
Wow.
So 50% of my top 6 are Spider-Man movies. I love Spider-Man. I think this John Watts trilogy is incredibly successful narratively and otherwise. And I think people know by now, I've talked about it enough times, my Jake Gyllenhaal as Mysterio stance. I think he is one of the best villains in the MCU. And that's where I stand on that. I don't want to get into it. This is not a Far From Home pod, but just know that you hurt me, both of you.
Gyllenhaal gives a great performance. That scene in the bar, like after he gets the glasses.
Yes,
like,
I love that scene.
Oh yeah, but
fantastic.
it's the 14th best movie in the yeah, for sure. Yeah,
one
makes
great
sense.
scene does not a great movie make. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Don't philosophize. Don't do this. Don't use words, Ben.
I take you're not vetoing it, Sophie?
No, this isn't my personal least favorite out of the Spider-Man films.
Ooh.
But it's definitely down there. Like I respect this play, and I'm fine with it.
Okay.
Cool.
Far From Home, 14.
I just kind of don't care about the rest of the draft. I gotta be honest with you guys. I think it's over.
It's all just a wash. It's like, who cares now?
Who cares?
So at 13, I'm going to play a movie that I was very much looking forward to, and I think just suffered from real world consequences. And it kind of hurt the movie, unfortunately. I still think it's good. Like, we're at the point now where like all these movies are good. Like, none of these are bad movies, but I think what we all maybe were hoping for obviously just couldn't happen. And they made the best of the situation they could. I'm going to go with Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. I do think this is well done. I just, it's kind of like the Last Jedi situation with Carrie Fisher, like when you're trying to like have a storyline go a certain way and then stuff happens in the real world and you can't make that happen. So we get some great performances here as well. I think, I don't know. I think there's a lot of good stuff here, but it suffered, obviously, us losing Chadwick, which was a huge loss just in real life, but also for everything that he meant, I think, to Marvel and the MCU. Angela Bassett gives a great performance. Wasn't she Oscar nominated for this, or was that in the first one?
Yeah.
Is this one right?
I think it was the first acting performance in a comic book movie. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, she was fantastic. The dude that played Namor, Tenet Huerta, I think, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, also wonderful job. But yeah, this one, I think it just suffered from all the external, influences. And so the movie just kind of suffers for it, unfortunately, but still a good movie. Just, I think we're now the territory for us old people, where we're just left with good movies now. So I'm going to go Wakanda Forever.
Okay. I would have this higher personally, just because I think similar to how people feel about like the Guardians, like people have an attachment to them and like have a relationship with that group of characters. I just really love the Black Panther universe and the people within it. I love the score. I definitely like was underwhelmed by the movie, and I agree with you that it just like suffers from real world consequences, but I don't know. I have a soft spot for this movie. I'm not going to veto it, but I want it on the record that I would have it much higher, I think. I'm just going to keep saying that.
I'll put an asterisk on the graphic for you. Yeah. I'll make sure to denote every time that you're like, oh, I don't agree with this. I'll write it on the graphic so everybody knows.
Thank you.
I'm just excited for this to be a whole pod of us saying like, I would veto it, but I'm not going to. Like, and we're gonna leave this episode with all of our stuff intact.
Yeah.
Like no one will have done anything. But.
Oh man. Yeah, I agree with you guys. I don't think there's a lot more to be said about that. I do think the movie obviously suffered. It was kind of a disappointment. I think there's some good stuff here. I think it does what it can with what it has available to it. But yeah, I don't know. I think ultimately it's kind of a forgettable MCU movie. Like I understand having a soft spot for it or whatnot. But I've never found myself wanting to revisit Wakanda Forever for any reason whatsoever. Other than like, Chadwick. And this movie doesn't have that. So I will say I love Killmonger's scene in this movie. I think it's one of the coolest things Marvel has done as of late for sure. I'm not going to veto it. I agree. I think it's in a good spot. Number 13.
Sweet.
Okay. Okie dokie. So that brings me to 12. What have we got on the board here? I think that I'm going to go... I'm going to go with Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 here. While I don't think it's a bad movie, I do think that it loses itself in the end. I think that the villain, what was the name of the villain again, Ben? The gold guy. Adam Warlock.
Oh, Warlock? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the side villain?
I think he is just like a true blue like narrative MacGuffin just to get us to a certain point in the third act. There's a lot of good stuff about this movie. It's the first F-bomb in Marvel, which is like, I don't know, cool. It worked on me in the theater the first time that I saw it, and then I was like, oh, that happened. I just think with Guardians Volume 2 being played in the part 1 of this draft, between the two remaining Guardians movies, I think Guardians of the Galaxy proper is definitely better. And I think what's left on the board offer more unique things than Volume 3 does.
Cool. Sophie?
I like this movie. I don't love it. I remember being like very overwhelmed by the original reception of it and people just saying it was like the best MCU movie we'd had in years and stuff. And like, it was cool. I was definitely emotionally affected by it because of that raccoon, which is like kind of rare in the MCU. Like I don't often get emotional.
That raccoon.
But like, yeah, that raccoon. Like it does take an interesting turn when it becomes a movie about like animal cruelty. Like it's kind of interesting, an interesting choice, but it worked for me. I liked it and I would put it higher, but again, I'm not gonna veto it. So another asterisk for me.
That's hilarious. That is so funny. That's so funny to me. I mean, I guess the top 10 is where it maybe matters the most. So I guess we'll see what happens. Ben, Guardians of the Galaxy that's your franchise. That's your trilogy.
Yeah.
How do you feel about this?
Oh, like I'm going to veto it.
Yeah, I knew it.
What?
Obviously.
Oh, really?
Did you put it in the doc already? Why do you do this?
No, I didn't put it in the doc. I had a suspicion. Huh. Okay.
Yeah.
Doesn't
I
Ben
saw
have this
movie.
like 5 stars? Like,
I saw this
is
movie
back.
while I was on vacation. I was on a cruise around Japan, and the day it came out, we were actually in Seoul, Korea, and I was on vacation and went to a movie theater to go see this the day it came out in Seoul. And I cried my eyes out, surrounded by all these strangers. I love this movie. I love the focus on Rocket. I love him, learning more about his past and who he is, and the connection he had with Lila and all that kind of stuff. And just seeing their connection as a group in the Guardians is kind of cool. Bringing Gamora back in and having her kind of relearn, I guess, why she liked all these people. I think that works really well. The Adam Warlock stuff just doesn't really affect me at all. Like, I don't even really think about him. I thought you were talking about the High Evolutionary, the dude that has like his face pulled back. So like, I don't think about the Warlock stuff really, so that doesn't bother me. But yeah, I don't know. We'll talk about it later if we want.
Okay, that's
we
fair.
want.
Look, I feel bad. I feel bad now because you did in fact snag me a couple of posters from Soul that were Guardians posters, and I have one. It's in my shed. It's in my recording shed, and I love it. I just don't love the movie, Ben. It's
all
nothing
good.
personal, Okay,
No worries.
as long as we're cool, as long as we're squared out.
Yeah.
Well, I gotta pick again. Shoot, puts me in a tough spot. I feel like we're getting. This is now the serious decisions. Okay, here's what I would have expected to be played in the zone. I think one of the more unique Marvel movies and offers something not a lot of other ones do, but definitely suffers from third act CGI overblow that Marvel loves to do. I'll be playing Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. One of the more consequential movies as of late, I feel like, introducing the Ten Rings and everything that revolves around Shang-Chi and that legend, getting Tony Leung to be in the film and bringing this like really exceptional hand-to-hand combat is something special to the MCU that I think this movie really excels in. But I just feel like we're getting down to some tough decisions with everything else, and this is bottom of the totem pole.
Yeah, I think this is a fine spot for it. I personally remember seeing Shang-Chi and really enjoying it just because it did feel like something different for the MCU, and it I feel like it had some great performances within it. But yeah, it definitely suffers in the third act and has a rare Awkwafina performance that I like, because I'm not often a huge fan of her, but I think she's fun in this. So yeah, this is a fine spot for it. Not like my favorite, but I think it's cool.
Yeah, I think your point was right. It really suffers in the third act. I think it's pretty funny for the first two acts. We get some great action sequences, like the whole bus sequence in San Francisco is fantastic. But yeah, there's some good humor here, and yeah, like the fight on the scaffolding is really good. But yeah, it's just like that third act, just like, oh, okay, we're just falling back into this. Yeah, it's kind of a bummer. I think this is a good spot for it.
I think Shang-Chi came out in 2021, and I guess Spider-Man No Way Home would be this for me, but until then, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings was the last Marvel movie that I had seen more than once in a theater. I did enjoy it, but definitely third act problems.
Yeah.
Okay, whew. It's off me. I don't have to think again until 9. Jeez Louise.
All right. I'm up, and I am going to put Spider-Man Homecoming on the board.
Nope.
Which is...
Nope.
Okay. Go ahead.
I mean,
you want to veto?
Spider-Man Homecoming outside of the top 10? Are you kidding me? It's like one of the best comic book origin stories ever.
I completely disagree.
Oh.
Do you want me to go, or do you want to veto it?
Where's the divide on this? I don't know. Ben, where's the divide? Where are you at?
I mean, I think it's a great story. I really enjoy this movie quite a bit, but it's not the Spider-Man I'm worried about being highest. So,
oh, jeez, guys. Oh, fine.
Is that fine you're going to veto, or fine you're going to live with it?
He's gonna live with it.
I'm unsure. I don't know what I said.
Okay, well,
fine
let me. Okay, this is one of the only MCU films that I've revisited since March 2020, and it's because it's a family favorite.
Mm.
And I don't know, it just doesn't super work for me. Like, I don't think the like Liz character and that whole plot line is like very interesting. Like, Michael Keaton delivers a cool performance, and I like that he's in an MCU movie, but I like don't know that it works that well. The movie looks bad. Like, I don't know. I just
Some really good Class A insight, Sophie.
Yeah,
Real good stuff.
it looks
the movie
bad.
looks bad.
It looks bad. So yeah, like I just prefer when Peter Parker's with MJ and things are happy, and I don't know. This just ain't it for me.
I'm not going to
Yeah.
veto it, but I will say this is like, for my money, one of the best twists or reveals in a movie ever. When he walks up and Michael Keaton opens the door, like, I don't know who saw that coming at all. I think that plays really, really well. And I also just love when he calls him Pedro for some reason. Like, I think that's just hilarious. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, this movie is really good, but we're just dealing with really good movies now. And I'm more concerned with No Way Home being higher. So I'm not going to veto it.
Yeah, I guess that's fair. Ben, to your point earlier in the draft, like, a good scene does not make a good movie. So like, I think there's a lot of good scenes in this movie. I think it's a very YouTubeable movie where it's like, oh, the green light scene, or like, oh yeah, the door scene, or oh, like the battle under the bridge. Like, I think there's a lot of cool stuff. Speaking of battles on bridges, just RIP Far From Home, not even being in the conversation right now. Jesus fucking Christ. Unbelievable. I should have. Okay. Anyway. And Sophie, to your point, like, I don't know. You kind of talked me out of like vetoing it a little bit and being okay with it in this spot. I'm much more concerned about No Way Home being up, but like having Homecoming be lower than like Guardians 3, Thor Ragnarok, even like Iron Man. I don't know. That hurts me.
That's how I feel
okay.
about the Avengers.
We
Just
live to
saying.
fight another day. Whatever.
Yeah.
The scene though, where he's like caught in the rubble and is like crying and like,
Thank you.
can't breathe.
Sees the
and stuff,
reflection?
like, yeah. Like, it's so good.
Top
And also
tier.
like when he gets stuck in that like whatever facility, and we get this whole montage of him trying all these things. Like, how long have we been here? Like 23 minutes. It's like, what the fuck? Like, we haven't been here at all. Like, there's some really funny stuff here, but yeah, I'm, it is what it is.
I just cannot believe Far From Home played at 14. The movie's fucking fantastic. Whatever. Move on. Let's move on. You guys are Spider-Man haters. Why do you guys hate Spider-Man?
If only you could have vetoed it.
And then veto it, and then what? Bump it up to 13? Why would I veto and bump it up one spot?
I like other Spider-Man movies a lot, just not those. Just not the two we've played so far.
Yeah.
Let's do a Spider-Man 3 moments draft, Sophie. I feel like that's where you'd shine.
Oh my gosh, I would love that. Let's do it.
Well, Flint Marco.
Cool.
Damn. Okay.
Wow.
Here we are. Honestly, like, this is just, I think this might be my top 10 anyway, just in general. So it's hard just jumping from one movie to another. Like, what do you play at 10? I have no idea. Like, I think these are all great. I think another one that maybe didn't play as well for me on the rewatch is Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah, there it is. There we go.
I do think it's hilarious. Obviously, a lot better than like Love and Thunder and stuff. Like, talk about a drop off. That's like Jaws to Ready Player One level drop off from Ragnarok to Love and Thunder.
You've got to stop.
That's a real drop off.
No, I disagree.
I mean, I have a Ragnarok poster right over there. I really enjoy this movie, but everything else that's on this list, I would probably watch before it. So yeah, I don't know. I like the Hulk in this. I think it's great that he got a haircut. Like, I think it looked fantastic. And what's her name? Valkyrie. She's great in it as well. Why can't I think of her name? Who plays Valkyrie?
Tessa Thompson.
Tessa Thompson. Yeah, she's so good. Man, fuck, dude, this is such a hard pick to make because Cate Blanchett fucking owns this whole movie. She's so fucking good. She might be my favorite villain in the MCU. I'm kind of regretting picking this right now.
Yeah, what are we doing? Can you change it?
No. You can stick. No, stick with it. Stick with it. It's good.
No, change it.
Leave it at 10.
No, change it.
I don't know if I can. I mean, I nominated it already, unfortunately, but I'm kind of regretting it. But yeah, I'm gonna go with Ragnarok at 10.
Is Hela the most underrated villain in the MCU?
I think so. I think
she's never
fantastic.
Talked about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, this is a dumb move. Why did I play this here?
Yeah, but I don't really know.
I've never seen players' remorse quite like this.
It was just a silly move, but I don't know. Again, we're dealing with like 10 great movies, but yeah.
But now that you've already played it, so it's set in stone. Thor Ragnarok is going to be at number 10. What would you have played if you used your brain?
Well, I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to offer up something for you to play.
I thought I framed the question really innocently, and I thought I had a chance at getting some good intel.
No way.
It was good. It was a good attempt. I thought I liked it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Sophie, are you vetoing this or no?
No, I'm not. I mean, I think this is far and away the best Thor movie. I think this is one of the movies that I laughed the most at. I really like the side characters. Like, I think Taika Waititi is like really like his rock character, whatever the heck it's called. What's his name? Korg,
yeah.
Yeah. I think that he's really funny. Like Jeff Goldblum. I don't know.
There's flyers. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. There's just like a lot about this movie that I like. I don't know if as a whole it completely comes together for me, but like I said before, like Loki's a comfort character for me. So like there's just a lot that I enjoy about this movie, and I think I would honestly revisit it over a lot of movies that are left. But again, I'm not going to veto it.
Okay. I think see what you're holding on to this veto for.
Yeah, this is interesting. Sophie, are you going to plan to play your veto at any point, or should I put like on the graphic like Sophie, I like this movie but won't play the veto Holsinger?
No, I'm gonna use it. I know I'm gonna use it.
Okay.
Because I know it's coming.
You know, right. You're confident.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that makes me nervous. I do have a veto and a veto override, so I'm hoping I get to use that. I like Ragnarok. I think it gets old a little quickly, but I do like the idea and the theme of like, you know, Asgard is a people, not a place, and I like that a lot, and I think that's something Marvel does quite well. And yeah, shout out Cate Blanchett for being Hela. I think she's incredible in this. When you get that moment when she first appears with Loki and Thor talking to Odin, and then Hela shows up, that's really a moment like an oh shit Marvel moment where you're just like, oh my god, like we're in bad now. And yeah, I think there's a lot of good moments in this movie.
When she catches Mjolnir and just like destroys it, I think that was just like, wait, hold on, who is this person? Like she was badass.
Super sick. Okay, number 9. Well, okay, so Thor Ragnarok has been played and is off the board. That puts me in a contentious predicament. I will be playing Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, a movie that I tried to play earlier. Don't think it should be in the top 10 at all. But here we are, and I'm going to play it at 9. Ben still got a veto, so I could just be, you know, digging my own grave here if he plays it again, but I want it here. I don't want it any higher.
Yeah, I'm not going to veto it. I mean, I like this movie a lot. I just wanted to get it in the top 10, so I'm glad it's here.
Yeah, I think it deserves to be in the top 10 for sure. I mean, I'm glad that it's a little bit higher than it would have been.
Dang, you guys are like way higher on this movie than me.
Yeah.
We have hearts. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you.
We love animals.
Sure.
Yeah. That sweet little otter.
Whatever.
Like, oh my God, she's so cute.
Yeah.
This is hilarious because
wheelchair. Like, come on.
This draft is going to play out, and it's going to be it's going to be like, oh, Ethan wanted to play Guardians Volume 3 because he hates animals.
Yeah.
I don't hate
Exactly.
animals.
That's the rhetoric I'm trying to spread.
Known animal hater, Ethan Simi.
Mm-hmm.
First it's women, next it's animals.
It's animals, yeah.
Like, keep them off the list. All right, Sophie, you've got number 8.
Okay. I have no idea how you guys feel about this movie, how anybody really feels about this movie, but it is way low on my list. Like, it would not be anywhere near the top 10 for me. So I don't know. I'm kind of confused. And that's Captain America Civil War. I'm waiting for reaction faces. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's like fine. Like I like seeing a lot of characters together. Like I said, like I kind of like the gang up movies the best. But there's something about the way that there's something about the Civil War, like the way that they're just like fighting with each other that I'm like, okay, like can we just stop? Like they're just acting like babies kinda, and I don't enjoy it. I like when we're happy and we're all on the same team.
And when Liz isn't there, fuck Liz. MJ only.
Yeah.
Oh man.
And honestly, I
don't
you say that. Really remember much about this movie. I just know I don't really like it.
Cool.
Sick. Yeah, that's a really good reason to play it.
Yeah.
Honestly, I expected nothing less from you. Kind of cool considering this entire movie is built around the fact that like they believe 2 fundamentally different ways to go about saving the world, which is like at the heart of how the MCU moves forward after this. Like it's referenced in Endgame of like, you fucked us and this is where we got because of Civil War. Yeah. I think it's an incredibly important movie and I think it's really good. But do I veto it? Jesus Christ. I don't know. Where are you at on this, Ben? Where are you at on Civil War?
You can ask my co-host from the other podcast, Unsung Gems. I was sitting next to him. I cried when the title card Queens came up because I knew we were about to meet Spider-Man. I was so fucking excited. I loved it so much. I think this movie's great. Team Cap all the way for sure. But that final battle that we get, once Iron Man finds out that the Winter Soldier killed his parents, even though obviously he was like under their control, Hydra's control and stuff like that. That fight that we get between the 3 of them, I think is so well choreographed. And there's just like so much emotion and meaning behind it. Obviously Cap leaving the shield behind because Iron Man tells him he doesn't deserve it. Like you said, Ethan, it gets referenced. It comes back in Endgame where they just like, whatever, like let's be friends again kind of thing. Yeah, the fight I think worked. I can't imagine trying to choreograph that fight between all of them, but some funny moments again, like from Spider-Man, like the super old movie Empire Strikes Back, it's like, who is this kid? Like, I think that all works really well. Ant-Man coming in, meet Black Panther as well. There's so many scenes in this movie that I think about on a regular basis. Like when Tony's starting to suit up on his hand and Winter Soldier shoots him with the gun and you just like see it on Tony's face. Like, oh, I just caught a bullet. Like that's fucking crazy. Yeah, I don't know. Fuck man. Like this movie's so good, but we're just dealing with like such good movies. Like there, for me, there's a movie I want you to replace this with, but I don't know if you will. If I knew you would, I would veto this for sure. But I just like, yeah, I don't know.
Can we sidebar for a second, Ben? Because I feel like we're in the same boat here with kind of our. Maybe I don't have the same reverence you do for Civil War, but I definitely think it deserves to be higher than 8. This is not a movie you would play at 7, right? If I were to veto it.
No, not at all.
So then I don't think I maybe would play it at 6, but then I'm burning my own pick playing this movie.
I do want to say that I'll give you a little insight. You're not going to like the next movie on my list.
Oh, God. That's a threat? Are you threatening us?
Like, no, shit. I'm just saying, like, the next movie that I would play, like, that's just on my personal ranking, you would hate so much more. So
I don't know.
Is that a fault? Like, is that an empty threat? Are you just bullshitting us?
No, I'm not. I'm genuinely trying to help you here.
So you think there's a movie that both of us like more that you would play?
Yes, and not to cause
Yeah,
drama.
no,
but
I get it.
Truly, because it's the next movie on my list.
Not to cause drama, just trying to come in and create chaos. That was the vibe of the pod.
I mean, it is, and I'm happy to
what?
do that, and for there to be uproar. But
Like you said, maybe
just
this
saying.
is midnight gremlin Sophie coming out.
Yeah, it's 4 minutes to
Yeah,
midnight.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're real close to the threshold here. The needle's going to the other side. Uh-oh. See what happens after midnight. Can we vamp for like 4.5 more minutes and see what plays out after midnight? I just feel like this is remarkably low.
No, I'm not giving you anything else.
Oh,
Jesus Christ. It's probably like fucking Infinity War or some god tier shit. Yep.
well,
no
it's
answer.
on you, Ethan. I'm not going to veto it, but I won't play it at 7. So we can at least give it up to 5 or whatever.
No, I'm not going to play it either. I can't, even if it's an empty threat, even if it pans out to be not worth the squeeze, I cannot risk something that I adore going in spot number 8. I think that is incredibly wrong. So,
Okay.
we'll keep it. Captain America Civil War sits at 8. Jeez, that's pretty low. Okay, Ben, you've got pick number 7.
Sophie, will you tell us when we're done what you would have played here? I mean,
Yeah,
assuming you're going to play it at 5, but in case you don't,
Yeah.
I want to know. All right, cool. At number 7, we're going all the way back to the beginning, and I'm playing Iron Man.
This is fair. This is a great spot for it.
I do love this movie. I think it is so good. Obviously, we wouldn't be having this podcast if Iron Man wasn't good and successful. Like, it's a great movie. We learned RDJ was like built and born for this role. I mean, Tony's like Iron Man was like a C-level comic, you know what I mean? And then like it got turned into like Iron Man is who every kid wanted to be. Like, it's crazy how good he was. But this is just a matter of like, you start out with fantastic movie, but then like you start making stuff that's better than that. And it's not that this, like, I'm pretty sure I have this ranked 5 stars on Letterboxd. Like, that's kind of just where we're at, you know, like everything is amazing. But yeah, this is just where we are. So I'm going to go with Iron Man. I will say every time I watch an Iron Man movie, or basically any movie with Gwyneth Paltrow, I was like, does she remember that she was in this? I don't know if she knows what movie she's
Definitely
in.
not.
Like even just like watching Endgame again, and when she's like consoling him, I was like, I don't know if she knows what movie she's in right now. Like, she's doing a great job acting, but I don't know if she knows what she's in. So
I literally thought of that last night when I was watching Endgame, literally during that exact moment. I was like, do you think Gwyneth Paltrow knows that she was in this movie? I think it's like a bad beat for Gwyneth Paltrow to come out and just be like, I don't remember making any of those films. That's like, insane.
Like her and Favreau, when they were doing that cooking show, he's like, yeah, like we were in Spider-Man. She's like, I was never in a Spider-Man. Like, come on, dude. Like, don't say this. This is so bad. Oh, man.
Okay.
Oh, I really like Iron Man a lot.
Me too.
I mean, just like it being the first movie, like it feels so nostalgic to me. And I just think, I think Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man is just like one of our great casting choices. Like, he's just so charismatic, and like it just works so well. Like, he's the only person on earth who could play Iron Man. Like, I truly believe that, and I don't really feel that way about any other MCU characters. I don't think this movie's aged the best, but I really do just love it. And I think Jeff Bridges and Gwyneth Paltrow, like everyone is kind of like delivering a great performance. But once again, I'm not gonna be.
Jesus Christ! What movie are you saving
insane.
this for?
What does it take to get you to use a veto?
Well, also, like, if Ethan agrees that this is a good spot for it, and he has the next pick, like, it's just gonna go up 1 spot. So I'm like,
should have fucking
gotcha.
Sealed my lips. God damn it.
Exactly. Yeah. So like, I don't know if it's gonna be down here. Like, it's fine. I'll just save my veto.
You're ending this episode with your veto. I'm calling it now.
I don't think so. I don't think you guys
me or Sophie. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Well, that's not good going into the top 6 films.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
I don't know.
Not good considering, Sophie, you've got 2. I guess we all have 2 picks at this point, but makes me nervous. Okay, I've got 6. Ben, you have 1 veto. I've got one veto and 1 veto override. Sophie, you of course have your very valuable veto that's apparently more valuable than ours by the way that you're framing it. Boy. We find ourselves in a predicament here. I feel like all of these movies that are left on the board are kind of like certified MCU, like gold standard, like OGs, if you will. Iron Man included, I think, to a certain extent. What do I want to do? It really comes down to personal preference at this point in time. I've got to reference my list, and I've got to stay accurate and true to who I am. I'm going to play a movie. Man, I'm really making out. My narrative is so bad on this pod. I'm going to play Guardians of the Galaxy. It's the lowest that I have left of what's available on my personal rankings. I think it's a great movie. I think it really sets the tone of what a special group the Guardians are and what James Gunn is able to do with them and this kind of genre bend from what we had gotten up until that point in time. I have to have the rest of the movies in the top 5.
That's totally fair.
Yeah, that's fine.
Ben, give it to me.
I mean, you're sitting next to someone who has like a Star-Lord mask,
Aw.
or like a Groot Lego thing. Like, you know, I'm going to veto this. I'm getting Guardians in the top 5. Like, I have no idea. I'm not just going to. And like Sophie might play it next, and that's fine. Like, at least it's in the top 5. But I looked at my letterbox. I have 3 5-star movies left and 3 4.5-star movies left. And this is one of the 5 stars. So I just need to get it up as high as I possibly can. And even if that's one more spot, that's okay. Unlike Sophie, I'm going to use my fucking vetoes. So there you go.
Just you wait. Cool. Okay.
I've never been so scared in my life. You just keep threatening, Sophie. You're just like, you don't know what's coming.
Just wait.
What is it?
I mean, I don't know, because I don't know if I'm actually aligned with you guys or not, but I know what I want. And so if I don't if my movie is played at 4, like I'm going to do something about it.
Fair enough.
That would indeed elicit the use of a veto. You just have appropriately described using that ability.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to play the next one in line here would be Black Panther for me. I think the cliff scene between T'Challa and Killmonger is one of the great narrative moments of the entirety of the MCU. I think there's a lot of really, really, really good stuff here. And I think it's really the first, maybe not the first, but I think the most effective kind of theoretical, thematical dive into like people think differently about the world, about Marvel, about Wakanda, and like you might fall on either side of that, and that's what we're offering you to do that. And I think Michael B. Jordan as Killmonger is really locked in and kind of sensational. It's kind of crazy. Yeah, I'm gonna play Black Panther here. I like it, but you've done this to me.
I can't believe you've done this. Yeah, I mean, I don't have a veto, so what I think doesn't matter. But yeah, this movie's great. I think Killmonger is the best villain the MCU's ever had. The opening scene we get in the museum with him, is so good. And yeah, Michael B. Jordan's just fantastic. Coogler knows how to direct a film. You know, he's 4 for 4 on good movies. So Black Panther's amazing. Talk about world building. Like this was so good. So yeah, I don't know. This movie's fantastic. And again, we're just dealing with fantastic movies, I think, at this point. So like, yeah, something's got to be out of the top 5. So unfortunately, this is it. Unless this is what Sophie's saving her veto for.
Yeah, is this it?
Who knows? We'll never know because she's never going to use it.
I am convinced we'll never know. I'm convinced we're aligned, and Sophie just doesn't know it.
Maybe. Who knows? We'll see. I love Black Panther. We talked a little bit about it on the color in the title draft, I believe. But I mean, it was such a moment. I think I take back what I said about Tony Stark. I think Chadwick Boseman is also a person who like I'm just so thankful that he got to play Black Panther, and I wish that he got to continue to do that. But I agree with you, Ben. I think Michael B. Jordan is playing like probably my favorite villain in the MCU. And I just love this world. I love the technology that it brings. I love the characters. Like, I just love spending time with these people. And I'm sad to see it a little bit lower than I would like. But once again, here we are.
I mean, Forrest Whitaker, like Andy Serkis is good in it.
Yeah. Sterling K. Brown.
Sterling K. Brown, like in that little kind of a small role, but he's like so good.
So good.
Yeah. And
the score.
I think.
Do you guys remember when the album came out, when the score came out, and it was just like it overtook the world? People are like, "Wow, you can do this! Like you can have rap artists make the entire album, and it rocks." Yeah.
Kendrick, dude, loved it.
Crazy.
It's actually the last vinyl I bought was the Black Panther soundtrack.
Wow.
Fact. Yeah.
What's the last vinyl you bought, Sophie?
Probably something Taylor Swift.
Oh, tough beat.
Sound very enthused about that.
I mean, I wish it was something cooler, but it's not.
I just picked up "Hit Me Hard and Soft" by Billie Eilish the other day.
Ooh, I need
sensational.
That. Nice.
Okay, we've reached the top 5. Sophie's gonna kick it off. I'm worried that we've just hit a total avalanche in our alignment, and I think things are gonna go bad.
Okay, so what do you guys think I'm gonna play?
Probably.
I think you're gonna play Infinity War.
That would be my guess.
Yeah, you're correct.
Okay, I will. I mean, Ben has no vetoes. I will gladly veto this. That's psychotic to put it at 5. It's unreal.
All right, go ahead.
Even if I had a veto, I wouldn't use it because I think that's the right spot for it.
Thank you.
Number 5?
Yeah.
What? Infinity War?
It's great, dude. We're talking about the 5 best Marvel movies of all time. We're not playing it at 33.
I think in my personal ranking, it's number 10. Yeah, it is.
Wow.
It's the lowest one that I have left out of these 5. So yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well, I'm sticking to my veto. It's too late. I can't take it back now. So we'll have the conversation when we get there. But immediately after I said I will veto that as an impulse of like, oh, I really like Infinity War, was an ultimate moment of like, at that moment he realized he fucked up because probably just going to play something else that's phenomenal in the 5 spot. And I don't know. I don't know what the lesser of 2 evils are, but I guess we'll find out.
Well, actually, I hate to side with you, Ethan, but I'm actually going to play Guardians here.
Let's go. Let's go. The veto pays off.
It would be next on my list, but I really do like it. Like, this is also a family favorite where like my family is constantly quoting this movie. I love the soundtrack. Another episode where I talk about a ride, but Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind, best ride I've ever been on.
It's so good.
It's so good.
That's really good.
Yeah, I mean, it's just fun to hang out with these guys. And I think, again, it was another entry into the MCU where it was like, it felt fresh, it felt different. And yeah, I like this movie, but I like the other movies more. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think it makes sense here. Obviously, if this was my personal list, it'd be different, but of a collaborative draft, like I think it makes sense being here. Maybe my favorite team up movie outside of Ocean's 11. You know, I like how everyone comes together. We got all these different personalities. Some of the best voice acting, I think, from Bradley Cooper. He's in Maestro, Ethan. I don't know if you've seen that, but yeah, he's really good as Rocket. And yeah, I love this movie. I literally have the Milano tattooed on my body. So like Guardians is just like my absolute favorite. But yeah, I mean, it's here at 5. I'm glad it's in the top 5.
Oh, you really threw me off beat with the Maestro bit. I should have seen it coming. It just completely unraveled me. Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, boy. Okay, look, I kid you not. This is not for a bit or anything, but when I was rewatching Endgame last night, the first time that Rocket speaks, this is genuine. This is 100% genuine. I don't know if I've ever connected the fact that Bradley Cooper, the man, voices Rocket Raccoon, the CGI animal. I knew it. And like, it just, the synapses in my brain just like didn't connect. And then last night I was watching Endgame and I was like, hold on, that's the guy who played Maestro. Jesus Christ, look at us. And something worked. Maestro unlocking new levels of film criticism.
Oh my God.
It's unbelievable.
So good.
Wow. Just Bradley Cooper. What a guy. We got to get that guy on the pod. We got to do a Coops pod with Bradley Cooper.
Ooh. Yeah, when are we doing a Cooper episode?
Oh, great question.
Well,
When's the next movie
Summer?
Cooper's in?
I don't know.
Does he have anything lined up?
Maestro 2?
Maestro 2? Return of the Maestro?
The Return of the Maestro? Let's see, upcoming. Is he going to be, he's in the Spielberg Frank Bullitt movie. He's playing Bullitt. He's playing Frank Bullitt, or Steve McQueen, basically.
Oh,
let's go. There's our Coop draft.
And then he's directing something called Is This Thing On right now. We're in production and stars Bradley Cooper and Will Arnett. That's all we have. That's all the info on IMDb.
It's probably like a mockumentary about behind the scenes of Maestro, would be my guess.
Probably. That would make sense.
That would be the
man, I know he's going to be in the Spielberg movie. That's going to be great. I like it. Oh, okay. Ethan, we're bringing it even a fuller circle for you. You know who's writing this movie? Is Josh Singer, aka one of the producers and I believe one of the writers on Spotlight. This is going to be a fucking Ethan Simi movie. This is going to be an Ethan Simi movie.
I feel seen. Hollywood has recognized the middle-aged straight white man, and they are making movies for us.
This man wrote Spotlight, The Post.
Yes, I love The Post.
First Man. And Maestro. He wrote Maestro.
Oh my God. Dude. I'm going to combust.
Wow. This is your guy.
You're the
new
living
reason
meme
to
right
live.
now.
Unlocked.
I'm gonna come. You're the unsung or uncut gems meme right now. That's amazing.
Wow, killing myself postponed. Holy cow! Is there a release date on that? You're just gonna give me a movie that's like no release date, right?
It's literally called Untitled Frank Bullitt Project.
Cool.
It is based on the character played by Steve McQueen in 1968, Frank Bullitt. If you haven't seen Bullitt, it's my favorite car chase of all time. I love Bullitt. It's such a good movie.
Haven't seen it. Gotta watch it. I'll probably watch this one first and then the OG afterwards.
Totally
Make sure
cool.
I get them right in the order.
Man, what a fucking Ethan Simi movie that's going to be. Crazy.
That's incredible. So coded for me. That is just wild.
It just kept unraveling. I was like, wait, this guy wrote
that.
No way. It's nuts.
Oh, we always find our way back to Coops. Holy cow.
It's like AI, write a movie for Ethan Simi. Like, all right, cool.
Here it is.
Here we go.
Ben, you've got the 4 pick. We're down to 4 absolute home runs. What are you going to put?
Yeah. Infinity 4. We're playing Infinity War here at the 4th spot.
What?
Awesome.
Yeah,
Guys.
I mean, to me, we're split here. We got 2 5 stars, 2 4.5 stars. I'm playing the lower 4.5 star right now. Fucking amazing movie. This movie is so good. When Thor
let's play
lands
at number
in
4
Wakanda,
though. That sounds good. Yeah.
I think these other 3 are better. But when Thor lands in Wakanda, like bring me Thanos, and he's got Rocket and Groot with him. After we just hung out with him and Peter Dinklage for a while, like that's pretty cool. This movie's funny as shit, and I don't know. There's so much you could say about this movie. I think it's amazing. But on the rewatch, and I think beforehand also, like Endgame pays off better. It's a huge payoff movie. So for me, that's got to be higher than Infinity War. And I mean, we'll talk about the other 2 movies as they come up. But yeah, this is honestly the last movie I really get to pick on here. So this is, for me, it's the right spot.
Looks like I'm not using my
That's
veto.
fair.
You're not going to bump this up.
Well,
I told you weren't going to use it.
I know, because now if I use it, then Ethan can override it, and then it's my turn.
Yeah, you bet I could.
Right? Yeah.
Well,
so,
he can't use the override on his own pick. So if you veto Ethan, it can still go up.
oh,
He can't use it on his own pick.
you're right about that.
Right.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Ben. Got it.
That's why I tried to just veto Ethan's picks, because then he can't override it.
Smart.
Why does it always devolve into like, let's attack Ethan the best and most
It's because
efficient
you
way
had the
possible?
override. I think all three of us wanted C.
I don't think I've ever had the override before, though. That's the
I
thing.
don't know that you have, yeah.
I obviously don't know how to use it because now we're down to the top 3 and it's just sitting there dormant.
Yeah.
Okay, I disagree. I have Avengers Infinity War and in my number 2 spot, so I'm off for sure on this one. I love Infinity War. I didn't revisit it. It's been a while since I've revisited it, but it is. I mean, it's really a 2 for package with Endgame. But Ben, to your point, I agree with you. I think Endgame lands better. Infinity War is so clearly marked as a part 1, and it is so clearly driving us to Endgame. But there are some moments that are just like beyond iconic when it comes to the MCU that stem from Infinity War. But it is what it is. Let the graphics show. I don't agree. Put an asterisk, please. Oh, yeah, that's right. I make the graphic. I'll do that.
This thing? Yeah. Sophie didn't like this placement, but didn't want to use her veto. Once again, Sophie didn't like this placement, but didn't want to use her veto.
Let's see if I use it.
It's actually just going to be cliff notes for the pod is what we're going to do. The whole graphic is just going to be like size 6 font and just cliff notes for everything that transpired.
I like that.
Just like a carousel on Instagram, just people scrolling through. Yeah, that'd be good.
Cannibalize our listens real fast.
Yeah.
Okay. Brings us to the top 3. I've got the 3 spot. We've got Spider-Man No Way Home, Avengers Endgame, and Captain America the Winter Soldier, which is the movie that I will be playing at number 3. I think to a lot of people's points, and I agree with this, and it kind of stems up, I'd say once every 6 months on Twitter, like, oh, Captain America the Winter Soldier, no other Marvel movie is like this. Like, I missed the political thriller, Robert Redford. Like, I agree with all of that. I think it's a great take. I think this movie is excellent, and it is something special that Marvel found. Everybody resonated with it, and they're like, you know what? Let's not do that again, which makes absolutely no sense. The most effective use, and probably just like the most use period, of Hydra, a villainous entity that is really not used at all in the MCU, an entity that is used exceptionally well in the TV show Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. If you're interested in Hydra, check that show out. It is excellent. I love this movie. I don't love it more than Infinity War, but it's a good movie. It's a good movie.
Sophie?
No veto for me. This is where I would put it.
For real? I thought this was what you were saving it for.
No, this is fine with me. I think I genuinely really like this movie, but I think kind of what you said, Ethan, like people just like talk about it too much and I almost get annoyed I think it's like a little bit overrated. Like I love the elevator scene, obviously. I think it's like one of the best scenes in Marvel history, but like one scene doesn't equal the whole movie. I like aspects of the movie. I think it's a great DC movie. I love the beginning when he's running around. Like there's a lot that sticks out to me when I haven't seen this in a long time. So I know that says something, but yeah, the 2 movies left on the board are just much more fun to watch, in my opinion.
I think this is the best movie Marvel's made.
Wow.
It's my number 3 only because I love Guardians so much and I'm a sucker for the Spider-Man nostalgia. So No Way Home is number 2 for me. But I think just like straight up Marvel, like this is the best thing they've done. It sounds like I'm on the outside of what you guys think about it. I'm one of those annoying people that like, if I use Twitter would say that kind of stuff, but I mean, it led to the Russos taking over the MCU basically because of this movie and how good of a job they did. They're like, okay, cool. So go ahead and do Civil War. And then like, why don't you wrap up with Infinity War and Endgame? All came from the Winter Soldier. Yeah. On your left, the callback that we get in Endgame, fantastic. Elevator sequence. I mean, it's all good. I like Cap having like the moral struggle here. And it kind of beginning that issue with Civil War. And his like the fight, you know, quote unquote, with Nick Fury and all that kind of stuff. Like, I think this whole movie, to me, this is like one of the 5-star movies that they've done. So I love it, but I thought that's what you're saving it for. But I'm not going to complain about my number 2 movie being number 1, you know? So yeah, I'm glad it's here.
Cool.
Yeah. Cool. I dig it. I agree with you though, Sophie. When it gets talked about, people are like so obnoxious about it where it's just like, we should dial it back a little bit, guys. But you know, more power to those people, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, we're in the top 2. Sophie, you got 2. Ben, you've got 1. Essentially, Sophie, you've got both. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of want to know what you guys would want.
Oh, so now you want to be collaborative when it comes to the last 2 picks.
Yeah,
that makes
sure.
Sense.
Like genuinely, I'm asking.
I mean, obviously, like I mentioned, I have No Way Home ranked higher.
Okay.
I think Endgame though is like maybe one of the greatest accomplishments in film history. So I could see it being number 1 because what they pulled off after like 12 years of this franchise and all that kind of stuff will never be done again. And I think they pulled it off very successfully. So I see like, I could see that being number 1 for that reason. But again, like I saw all the Spider-Man movies in theaters, and when Toby showed up, I cried. When Andrew showed up, I cried. You know what I mean? It's just like, I fucking love No Way Home. I've never been so excited in a movie theater. So like, I all that to say, I don't give a shit. Like, play what you want because I think either one of them are good choices.
Okay.
So Endgame is the only movie that I rewatched in prep for this draft. I watched it last night. Cried a few times. I wrote about this in my Letterboxd review. So I have Avengers Endgame ranked at number 1 for me personally. This was the first time that I revisited this movie since losing my best friend to cancer a couple of years ago. And like the entire thesis of Endgame is like people and the people we love and spending moments with those people. And so the fact that like, him and I watched Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. together. We watched every Marvel Disney Plus show together and talked about it. And like we shared Marvel. And so like Endgame holds a very, very special place in my heart, especially considering, like you said, Ben, how effectively and wonderfully they executed what they were doing. Like to take 3 hours and play off of the previous 11 years of films and make basically every single moment work, every single storyline work, every single thing work is kind of crazy. It's the only 5-star Marvel movie that I have. I have No Way Home at 4.5 stars. I have that in my number 3 spot, so it's a little bit lower, but like, I'm with you, Ben. I cried when Toby showed up. I cried when Andrew showed up. I cried when they like put their hands on him and they were like, this is just part of being Spider-Man. And I was like, God fucking damn it. Like, we did it. So I think each movie holds a special place. I do think Endgame is the clear best Marvel movie that there is, though.
Okay.
So if you don't play it at number 1, you are essentially saying to my dead best friend, go to hell.
Okay.
Jesus.
Oh my God. Okay. Well, I ask that question because these are like kind of tied for my number 1 spot. And it kind of is like day by day. I'm like, I go back and forth because like I mentioned, I didn't see Endgame in theaters. So although like it really packed a punch for me, like I was sobbing during this movie and I like really, recognized the achievement and everything. But Spider-Man No Way Home was like the movie that I experienced in theaters and like anticipated so heavily and just got to have like such a cool experience. Like it was the year that I was living at home. And so I took my parents and I like remember in the car on the way there telling them like it's rumored that like the other Spider-Men are coming and like it was just so fun. Like I just had so much joy that day. And like I think although like I like the superhero movie, but my favorite superhero movies are the Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy. And so seeing Toby was just like everything to me. And yeah, it kind of Spider-Man No Way Home is essentially like my end game because that's like the first movie that I really experienced in a big way. But I am going to play it at 2 because I agree that Endgame probably deserves the number 1 spot. And I think, it's just a culmination of like years and years of work. And I think it's kind of incredible that it turned out as well as it did. So Spider-Man No Way Home at number 2.
Do you want to talk about that movie some more, or do you want to? I feel like you just talked about Endgame and then said Spider-Man No Way Home.
Well, like I just
really pulled a Ben, honestly, in the Pixar draft. You were like, well, let's talk about another movie and then play a different one.
I just want to give you the time to talk about it. All right, cool. Yeah, like Andrew Garfield in this movie is just like perfection to me. He does some even just like body movement stuff, like when Ned's like, I promise I'll never turn into a supervillain and come after you. And Andrew just like puts his hand on his shoulder, just like gives him that like nod, just like, I love that. It's so good. I think, my partner brought up a good point after we watched this, that like, there aren't a ton of movies that let guys verbalize their emotions. And this movie did a really good job of that, where it's like, they just got to talk about the problems they were having. There's plenty of movies about guys. I'm not trying to say that, but like there isn't a lot of ones where like they verbalize to each other what they're feeling and their emotions and things like that. And this movie allowed that. Fucking Alfred Molina coming back. Willem Dafoe, still like two of the best. Like if you're making a Rushmore of movie villains, like, I mean, we might be getting into that later, but like those guys are the fucking best, and they still were, they came back and they owned it. I mean, Jamie Foxx was fine. He's funny, but I think you just really saw the power that Molina and Willem Dafoe have on screen in this movie. Yeah, I don't know, man. I could talk about this movie forever. I fucking love this movie. And even just the line, like, are you going to go into battle dressed as a youth pastor? Like,
yes,
I was totally going to bring that up. That's
it's
such an
so
A1
funny.
line.
Yeah. And just like, we did, like when Toby shoots the web out and the other two guys are freaked out, like, wait, this comes out of you. Like that whole sequence, like there's so much good stuff here. Just the camaraderie. But yeah. And the best part, no Liz, fuck her. We got MJ. That's what we need. Yeah. Fuck Liz. MJ only.
Wow.
I regret not having my opening line be Norman's on sabbatical, honey. That's like my favorite fucking line. It's so
sabbatical,
good.
Honey. Yeah, so good.
Love it.
Yeah, I think I echo everything what you guys said. What I think is really interesting, up until this moment, we've talked about all of these movies, and I've been like, yeah, pretty good movie, good movie, good movie. I have good memories and whatever. Now we're talking about Spider-Man No Way Home, and I'm like, cool, I could stay up until 1:30 and watch Spider-Man No Way Home. Like, I feel like I want to go put it on. And I think that is something special about this. The only thing that I will say that I think, like, for me is the moment outside of like the moment where they finally come in and they talk to Peter kind of as he's looking over Times Square and what J. Jonah Jameson is like reporting, when Andrew and Toby are kind of together on the scaffolding and Toby says, oh, my back, it's kind of stiff from all the swinging, I guess. And Andrew like offers to crack it for him because only a Spider-Man would be strong enough to crack his back. And like that camaraderie that you're talking about, Ben, and that reference to like, ow, my back in the original Spider-Man, like it's perfect. It is so perfect. And this is a sensational movie. I love it at number 2 for sure. I think this movie's great.
I mean, how about their conversation when they're talking about like all the different villains they fought, and Andrew's like, oh man, all I fought was like some guy in a mechanical rhino suit. Like, I'm a loser. He's like, no, hold on. Let's talk about this. It's just all the self-talk, it's like, and then he's just like, you're amazing. And like, that works on so many levels. Like, it's just, it's such a good little line. But they're all great. And is fucking Peter 3. Like, that's just like one of the funniest moments of the whole movie. He's like, Peter 3. I love it. This movie's so good. It's fantastic.
Sick. Sophie, you gonna stay up till 4 a.m, rewatch No Way Home?
Yeah, like I'm thinking about it.
Should we just like keep the group chat going all night? Let's do a live chat of
chat. Yeah.
I love it.
Great pick at number 2 for sure.
Well, Endgame, number 1. I mean, we've all kind of talked about our reasons behind it. I think it's one of the biggest feats in filmmaking. They pulled it off. And I think it works really well. There's, some cheesy moments like when Spider-Man gives the gauntlet to Captain Marvel. It's like, how are you going to get through all those people? It's like, well, she's not alone. And then like every female superhero shows up. It's like,
oh, good. Ben hates women. Awesome. That's not my bit anymore. You've taken it over.
Remember when Ben said there weren't enough movies about guys?
Not enough movies about guys
good
out
call.
there.
And then he dove right into this, hating on the one woman moment in Endgame, a 3-hour movie about dudes and powers, superpowers.
Yeah, we need more movies about white cis hetero men like Spider-Man. We just don't have enough of those. So yeah, I just want to make that clear. But yeah, I don't know. Like the battle's great on your left. Like, you know, Cap's just ready to kind of fight to his death, and then all of a sudden, you know, the whole portal scene happened, and that's just fucking amazing. Cap lifting Mjolnir, that's like it's just fantastic. Sophie, your line as we started this episode, we finally got to hear Avengers Assemble. You know, there was no better time to finally hear that. So yeah, this movie is great. I think it utilized old movies well, like, you know, with the Tilda Swinton, like when we were in New York for a while, it's like, oh, it's cool. They like brought her back for this, and we get to like live through Avengers again and Winter Soldier and America's Ass, all that kind of shit. Like they pulled everything off in this movie. It's kind of amazing what they did. So yeah, I think it totally makes sense to be number one.
I feel like we could probably talk about Avengers Endgame for quite a while. I agree with all of the sentiments we've shared so far. There's one thing that I will say, actually two things. Ben, I'm really disappointed in you that you were not like Avengers Endgame. It was inevitable. I feel like that was on the table. It was right there. R.I.P. Tough. The only other thing that I want to mention is the entire, like the idea of if Tony can rest or not, I think is something so special about this movie, and is really like a momentous moment in understanding who Tony Stark is, even though we've been with him for 10 years. Like, he figures out time travel and he's like, I can just throw it in the bottom, like lock it up, throw it in the bottom of the ocean. But Pepper knows him better than anybody and says, like, will you be able to rest? And then we get that callback at the very end at the battlefield. I think that's special, not only for like what's encapsulated in Endgame, but also like what's encapsulated in the franchise. And the fact that like Tony brought us there. And we open this movie with Clint saying, do you see where you're going? Now let's figure out how to get there. Like that is all-time iconic self-awareness for Marvel and doing it the right way. I already mentioned how it tackles, you know, love, loss, trauma. I think the entire redemption story arc with Thor works really, really well. It can be grating or annoying, maybe the first time or 3 that you see it, but like it works for me every time that I see it now because I get it. Like that's the point of the movie. Yeah, I love Avengers Endgame. I think it is a 5-star film. Yeah,
I mean, Sophie, what do you have to say about it? I don't want to keep talking if you want to say stuff.
No, it's okay. I mean, I said what I needed to say, but I really, like, I'm sad that I never got to experience this in a theater. Like, it's kind of like the thing that I feel like I missed out on in my lifetime. Like, I'm not kidding. Like, I really wish I was there for that. But
can we put that on like your headstone when you die? Like, did not see Avengers Endgame in theaters. Biggest regret in life.
Biggest regret. But at the same time, like it was so special to like go through all of those films and experience everything, and then getting that immediate satisfaction of getting to watch Endgame. And like I had just built such a relationship with those characters over that month, and like I look back on that time and ending it with Endgame as like just such a special moment in time, and I love it a lot. And it's one of the only MCU movies that I actually do revisit. So yeah, I love it.
Go ahead.
No, just that entire opening sequence with Tony and Nebula on the ship is unbeatable. Ultimate introduction to a film. Yeah.
It's so good. Just two most random characters to pair together, you know,
playing
it's like
paper football.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. So well done. I do love the movie, just like the story arc of Iron Man and Captain America and how they kind of like have flipped from the beginning of the MCU of the selfishness and the selflessness. Like, you know, is it in Avengers where it's like, you're not the guy to make the sacrifice play or whatever. Because we saw, you know, in Captain America, like he'll jump on the grenade literally for other people. And then by the end of this movie, Tony's the one that makes the ultimate sacrifice. And then Cap is just like, I decided to do a little bit of that live-in that Tony was telling me about. It's like, that's kind of cool that you did that. You know, you chose something for yourself. So I think, yeah, I think it's all just so well done. I love it.
Undeniably the best movie that Marvel has made, I think, and a pretty definitive junction, I think, in Marvel history, in MCU history. A conversation, a topic for another time, another pod for sure. Okay, we've completed the MCU Mega Collab Draft. We've drafted part 2 now here, spot 17 through 1. I will quickly run through them. Because I'm going to have to work on this graphic for quite a while. There's going to be a lot of asterisks and notes and cliff notes and footnotes and things like that. Number 17, The Avengers. Number 16, Avengers Age of Ultron. Number 15, Eternals. Number 14, Spider-Man Far From Home. Number 13, Black Panther Wakanda Forever. Number 12, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Number 11, Spider-Man Homecoming. Number 10, Thor Ragnarok. Number 9, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Number 8, Captain America Civil War. Number 7, Iron Man. Number 6, Black Panther. Number 5, Guardians of the Galaxy. Number 4, Avengers Infinity War. Number 3, Captain America the Winter Soldier. Number 2, Spider-Man No Way Home. And number 1, Avengers Endgame. The only closing thought that I have, you guys are well aware, I think Far From Home was done an incredible disservice here on this show. Not my pod.
That's okay. We're okay with that.
No comment.
That's all right.
I got my top 4 movies are in the top 5 of this collab.
Wow.
So I'm pretty happy with that.
You won.
Yeah. The only thing that would swap out is Infinity War with Civil War. Then it'd be 5 for 5. But yeah, I think this is a solid list. I'm very curious to hear people's thoughts on the Avengers being at 17, like the literal middle of the MCU rankings. But honestly, I'm excited to listen to the episode tomorrow of the bottom of the MCU and just see how it all unraveled. I think it's going to be good, but I'm happy with our list for the most part.
Shout out Multiverse of Madness, one of my favorite MCU movies that I didn't get to talk about on this podcast.
That's what we should have started out with. Is like, what movie from the bottom are you sad wasn't here?
Yeah,
that's great. That's a great shout. That was in the notes and I bypassed it because I was like, wow, we're already 20 minutes in. We haven't started drafting. We could have just had like a part 2 of banter and then a part 3 would have been us actually drafting.
I'm with you, Sophie, actually, like looking at my letterbox list right now, the highest ranked thing that isn't playable is Multiverse of Madness for me as well. So yeah,
good
Sam
movie.
Raimi, dude. Yeah, he's the best.
God, that must be hard to like bad movies. That
I
sucks.
wouldn't know.
I feel bad for you guys. I wouldn't know. Look, I tried to give it a shot for Eternals and Spider-Man Far From Home. The fact that they're even in the top 17 is a feat unto itself, and I feel good about that. The bridge scene between Mysterio and Spider-Man, top 5 MCU moment. Just let it be known. You guys messed up on that one. Okay, well, we've tackled the MCU. Probably the biggest franchise we've done here on the pod. A collab draft, once again, in the books.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily feel great about it, but I feel pretty good. Next collab draft we have coming, Ben, it's you and I and a special guest, and things get out of control. We've already recorded it, and it's unbelievably ridiculous.
Well, I think we have one before that.
Do we?
I think we have movie villains, the 3 of us back together again.
Oh, I meant collaborative specifically.
Oh, collab. My bad. Yes, of course. Collab draft. Yes. We did have a very special guest that got a little out of control.
There goes the Ben not listening when I talk again. No surprise.
Yeah, I just you're like the teacher in Peanuts, or just like wow. What's going on? So yeah, that's all I hear.
You just like perk up when you hear your name, and that's it. You're like, I think I can. I
guess it's my turn to talk. All right, let's do it.
Yeah, we're doing a best movie villains draft, just the 3 of us. A draft that I will undoubtedly prep ridiculously hard for. So prepare to fucking lose. I'm going to win this draft.
I've already started prepping, so.
Interesting.
Okay.
With Thanos? Because you watched Endgame? Is that why?
Yeah.
Double
Thanos
dipping?
number 1 overall pick.
Probably going to stick to Pixar villains only, right? Cool. Thanks, guys. Thanks for a great collab draft. Thanks for talking about Marvel. I'm glad that we finally got Sophie's take on Marvel as a universe, as a franchise. This is something I've been trying to get out of her for a really long time. I feel like it's kept under pretty good lock and key. So kind of a 2-hour, Sophie tells all. It was fun. It was a good time.
I mean, I really didn't say much about the plots of the movies because I couldn't. So I did my best.
You covered it well. No one would have any idea.
Your bit lasted the 2 hours, like I asked. It's pretty impressive, quite honestly.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys, for co-hosting with me. I appreciate it. Be sure to listen and subscribe to the Movie Draft Podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. New episodes will be released weekly on Tuesdays. We'll see you then.